Hello everybody and welcome to Cinema Savvy. It's myself George bringing you a brand new movie review, and today we are reviewing Bullet Train, the adaptation of the 2010 book, which has been directed by David Lynch and is now out at cinemas worldwide for everybody to watch. And this is going to be a very interesting review because it's already out. I'm not going to do spoilers. I'm going to try and keep it spoilerish free, but I'm going to give my thoughts on this film, some of the cast, some of the action, some of the other stuff I really want to talk about. So, as I said, this is out at cinemas. You can see this now on the big screen. Would I recommend seeing it on the big screen? We'll get it that in about 10 minutes or so. But as normal, please do comment your thoughts on Bullet Train if you saw the film at the cinema. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you didn't like it. All that sort of stuff. I'm going to try and... Well, we'll reply to all the comments, but I want to try and see what people's reactions are. If anyone's actually going to go and see this film. Because this is a film that not many people... not people aren't watching, but it's blockbuster season. It's the summer blockbuster season, and this is kind of just come out. It's very strange. It's been a very, very weird summer. There's been some absolutely incredible films, with most of them coming out in spring. If I'm being blunt, one of the deadest summer blockbusters ever. So, as I said, please do comment your thoughts, and if you want to find out about our social medias, find out what videos we're going to do, when we're going to be going live, all that sort of stuff. The best way to find it is our social medias. That's Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy, and we have a link to Redbubble in the description below, alongside all the other stuff. But as I said, we are here talking Bullet Train, and I guess it's best off starting with the actual film, the story, the concept, because I didn't know much about this heading in. I think I'd heard murmurs it was either a manga adaptation, or it was a book, and it was a Japanese book. And obviously, I had seen some stuff in the media about some of the casting in this, which I'm going to actually get into because I too have some problems. But obviously, I'm just going to jump in. Brad Pitt's leading this. I don't know if this is the first Brad Pitt film since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It feels like that in terms of a leading role, but I do want to double check because there's probably something really obvious I'm missing in that respect. So obviously, David Lynch worked in Deadpool 2, a few other things. Brad Pitt, of course, had that amazing cameo in that film as well. So there's obviously a bit of history there. But I want to kind of go with a preemptive because, as I said, I've got some very, very mixed opinions on this film. If I'm going to be blunt, I don't like it too much. I don't really care for it. There are some things I don't mind. There are some things I think is atrocious. And there are some things I half like. So I'm in a bit of a mixed bag with this. But what kind of is the most off-putting for me? Now, there's been a lot of trailers for this at the cinema recently. When you get the same overused trailer. I had this a lot. And again, I was looking forward to seeing Brad Pitt in a film first and foremost. But aside from that, nothing was really bringing me in. The trailers didn't do anything to me. It wasn't hard to make a story out from it. It's all set on a bullet train, kind of like a snakes on a plane type thing. And I kind of went into this. I say that I went into it today. I'm recording this on Saturday. I was meant to go on Wednesday, and I was so tired after work. I literally just skipped the screening and just went home and slept. It's been that kind of week, and I wasn't bothered. I missed it. I wasn't bothered. I had to wait a few days. Went in this morning, and there were 4 people, including myself, in the IMAX. I know it was a lunchtime one. I know there's a lot of things on, events on, and all that sort of stuff, but a pretty dead turnout for that time on a Saturday. Obviously rated 15, not going to get any kids there, but I'm just going to reiterate, it's the summer blockbuster season, and it just feels completely dead. And this is the kind of film that I'm surprised never ended up on Netflix, if I'm being very honest. The kind of film that the studio might have sold in lockdown. I know this was probably filmed way after lockdown, if I'm being honest, but there's really nothing much to it, and it's not frustrating in the least because I don't expect it. It's more my frustration on the last sort of 2 months of cinema releases. I'm trying to wrap my head around some of the big ones. Obviously, everything peaked with Top Gun Maverick. There's a lot of people talking about this week as well, and some other things. But it's been a really frustrating summer, and this being not the big August one, we've got a Nope coming out next week, but the big action blockbuster for the summer, it's just very surprising it's come out now. And I know it's getting a B+ cinema score, which isn't fantastic as well. But just getting into my thoughts, again, I've been pretty negative, not giving some reasons why. I'm going to be blunt, I really struggled with the casting in this film. Calling it whitewash is maybe one of the understatements of the year. Again, I wasn't familiar with the source material before watching the film. Got no issue with someone like Brad Pitt being cast in it. I know that a really good comparison maybe is Edge of Tomorrow, one of my favourite Tom Cruise films, which was a manga adaptation. But what they did, they took that story, they put it in Europe, essentially had a D-Day landings, obviously American cast set in, as I said, D-Day, like Britain, heading over into France, Europe, all that sort of stuff. And there was issues with that, I think, at the time. I need to really refresh it, but that film worked because it felt like, okay, they've took this story from Japan and they've applied it elsewhere. And this is where I fundamentally struggle with Bullet Train, is that it's set on a bullet train, it's set in Japan, and it's like, boom, here's Brad Pitt, okay, fine. And then you've got Joey King, and then you've got Aaron Taylor Johnson. You've got so many other actors, and this, I'm trying not to spoil a cameo. I don't know if he was known to be in the cast, so I'm not going to give away 2 cameos almost just by mistake, but it feels so Americanized, again, which isn't a problem if this film had been set in America, but when it's set in Japan, it's set on a bullet train, and almost the essence of the story is still like Japanese Yakuza type stuff. It's really awful, it's really visible, and Michael Shannon is playing the big bad, and I didn't actually know he was in this film. I hadn't seen much of the posters. Apparently he'd been in them. I really hadn't seen much. And the Michael Shannon was kind of the, not final straw for me, but was like sort of taking the piss at this point in time. And with some of the other casting stuff I really struggled with. Again, it was just that setting. And even like little things. We've got Zazie Beetz in this, who is welcome, again, another Deadpool person involved in this. And then what really annoyed me is we had Karen Fukuhara, who you will know from Kamika from The Boys, who's in the Suicide Squad. The first one, not the good one. She's in this for like 2 scenes. She's got nothing to do. And I'm just sort of sat there, like, how has this happened? And again, whitewashing, I'm not obviously a person of colour, I've not got any Japanese ancestry as well. I'm just very surprised this film has been made the way it has. And I know they've come out and said, it's a compliment to the story that we're able to take these characters and apply it. It's just nonsense. It's utter nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. And, had this have been set on a train going across America, yes, it would be very much like source code. But it would at least feel like here's an American adaptation of the book. This just genuinely feels like a cop-out. And again, with some of the actors involved in this, obviously there are some Japanese actors as well. I struggled not with them, but when you've got this great Yakuza backstory and it's like, boom, Michael Shannon's now the head of it all, it never feels earned. And it just feels awkward to view. And kind of speaking of things that are awkward to view, that's just casting, that's not even the story. The story to this, I've got no problem with an action film being set on a train. I don't mind this sort of thing. As I said, it's blockbuster season, I like to switch my brain off, I like to have fun, I like to be entertained. What I don't like is being bashed over the head with plot twist after plot twist after plot twist, where I'm just bored of it. And Red Notice was the one I compared it to, actually, when I was watching that. If anyone saw that last year, another Netflix original $200 million film, every minute there was a twist at the end, and it just got boring because the twist had twists that spawned more twists. And as a viewer, it's just not insulting to the intelligence, but you can't emotionally get involved with the film. You can't care for any characters because you just assume that they might come back, or someone else might come back, or nothing's as it seems. And it just reaches a point where I'm just sat there zoned out on a Saturday morning thinking, did I need to come to the cinema today? Did I need to set an alarm on a Saturday to come out and watch this film? And that's kind of where I am with this, is that it was viewable, it was watchable, and I liked Brad Pitt in this film. But aside from Brad Pitt and Aaron Taylor Johnson, I'm sort of torn on, because I really like Aaron Taylor Johnson. He looks great in this film. He has one of the worst overuses of a Cockney accent I've ever seen in my life. And someone's going to probably say, yes, he's English. I'm English. I can't do a ridiculous Scouse accent for 2 hours. And it's things like this I struggle with. And even with his character, I don't want to get into football too much, but he's a West Ham fan, so they make him a hooligan. And on top of him being a hooligan, every time he has an action scene, they play Forever Blowing Bubbles. It's the worst needle drop I've probably ever heard at a film in my life. It's the closest I've ever come to getting up and leaving during a film. And it's done 3 times in this, which is absolutely disgusting. I've got no idea why the song's used. I've got no idea if West Ham signed off on their logo being used, if they were just desperate for some money over COVID maybe. But it was just an absolute shambles. And even Thomas the Tank Engine is a running theme of this film. Yes, Thomas the Tank Engine. I sort of came to saying I don't want to hear about Thomas for another few years. I'm good, thanks. Because it just feels like they're trying to represent British culture by chucking in football, chucking in the classic show, from when we're little and stuff. And to me, it just never works. It doesn't complement characters. It doesn't complement the story. It really just does nothing for itself than just making references. And I'm kind of sat here in England knowing, okay, that's 2 very British things. Do Americans know what Thomas the Tank Engine is? Do Americans know what West Ham United is? Their probably biggest showing of West Ham is Green Street, and part of me thinks David Leitch watched Green Street and then thought, you know what, it'll be great if I put West Ham and Forever Blowing Bubbles in this film, because it just, watching it felt like that. It felt like someone doesn't know anything about sort of British culture saying, let's have this Cockney person being a tough Londoner or something, and it was just ridiculous. And it's kind of how I feel about the film. I don't like coming on, I don't like jumping on films' back, saying they're X, Y and Z, A, B and C. But with this one, I was just so in a lull. And it's kind of passable. It's 2 hours, and there were some entertaining moments. There was some action set pieces I enjoyed. There was one or two actors I enjoyed where I followed their story and didn't mind it. But we're just spending so much time trying to make the film bigger than what it is, trying to make the film... I'm trying to think of the right term. I hate using the word subjecting expectations, but it just subjects your viewpoint as an audience every opportunity it can. And it amples it away from any of it having any creative meaning or sense or narrative story. And even to where the film ends up, there's jokes like, "Oh, I'm great with bad luck." It just gets boring at that point in time when a cliche is used so much. And it's like that. And what I'm kind of getting at now is, it's not criticism of Brad Pitt, but this doesn't feel like Brad Pitt should be in this film. This feels like you should have a Ryan Reynolds, you should have a Dwayne Johnson, you should have someone that sort of plays themselves, because I think Brad Pitt gravitates this film without the film deserving any gravitation. And it kind of feels like a hangover from Once Upon a Time in London, where they wanted to play this Zen peacekeeper, and listen, it's great seeing Brad Pitt back, but not in a film like this, if I'm being completely honest. So yeah, that's my sting on that. I don't really have much to say. There's not much of a story. There's not much of anything else. What I would like to say is a positive. I'm not going to read the book. I know it is a book, but that was adapted for the stage in Japan a couple of years ago. And I think if it worked as a Japanese adaptation, it would be a million times better. Or at least with a competent director that can do story combined with action, rather than action followed by jokes followed by story, because it just didn't work for me. And it might work for other people, so if it does work for other people, please comment them below. But as I said, will I suggest you to go watch this at the cinema? No. There's a lot of better films online, and I don't normally advocate streaming stuff, but there's a lot better films streaming at the moment. We've got No Part next week, which I'm really, really looking forward to. I know a few people that saw it last week, so I'm excited to be able to cover that, and a few other things. So my recommendation, do not watch Bullet Train. If you're a fan of Brad Pitt, hey, you're in, but for some of the other folk, I think it's a waste of time. And that's how I feel with this film. That's how I felt today, and it's put me in a bit of a lull, so I'm going to chuck on a decent film now for the night and enjoy myself. So that's going to be my polite review of Bullet Train. As I said, comment your thoughts below. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Did you enjoy this film? I'm being too harsh on this film. Should this just be passable switch your mind off entertainment? It's hard to switch your mind off when you're just getting crowbarred over the head with plot twists, aren't you? So, as I say, comment below. If you're fuming this video, that's fine. Don't hit the subscribe button. If you did enjoy this video, if you enjoy these types of videos, these reviews, these discussions, consider hitting the subscribe button. It does mean a lot to us. We've got a lot more videos on the way. As I said, there's a review for Nope coming out next week. We've had a review out for Prey. I recommend Prey. That's a better streaming film you can watch. That's on the channel, alongside 13 Lives, another streaming film which is wonderful. How did they not get cinema releases, but this did? That's the big question I have. So comment your thoughts, and if you want to follow us on social media, please do that. It's Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy, and we have a link to Letterboxd in that description below, and Redbubble, and so many other social media sites. So please do follow us there. And what is coming next? Well, by the time this video goes up, I'll be watching Golden Night at the cinema. I'll be having probably a much better time watching Golden Night at the cinema than I'm today. And then we've got the Steven Spielberg retrospective this Tuesday. AI, Artificial Intelligence, is coming out. We're going to be joined with Tom Woods and Tom from Radio 007 podcast. 2 more Toms on the Spielberg retrospective. Alongside that, we've got some discussions and other things planned. We always share them on our social media, so that is the best place to find us about what videos are coming up. And as I said, there's a lot of things happening. We're moving into a busier part of the year. Festival season starts soon. London Film Festival applications are on the go, so there's a lot of really exciting things. So do stick around. I'm looking forward to reviewing some more films soon. Hopefully much better films soon. As I said, Nope is next week. Nope will be the next new release on the channel, so get ready for that next weekend. And as I said, thank you all for watching, and be sure to join me on the next one. Take care.